Now, Drew Barrymore left her sex list at Danny DeVito's house, which
It's just a funny sentence in itself.
who's just leaving their sex list around willy-nilly?
I've never written one.
I have tried. It was alarming to me how I could picture someone's face but not their name. So I had things in my sex list like police officer, Camperdown. I could not remember the man's name. Every couple of days after I started the list, in the middle of doing something, and then French guy, Tinder. Can't remember his name either.
Whilst I haven't written a list, I still think about them. Well, I don't think about them. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Life Uncut. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Laura. And how does it feel, Britt, doing that again for the first time? You didn't do that last week.
No, I didn't do it. It feels good. But I thought we said we weren't going to say this anymore. I'm back. It's not, remember we're going to cut down on the first times. I'm back from the jungle. We've established that. And I love it. I missed it.
We're going to celebrate the wins every time.
Also, I said that one thing I said I was going to take from the jungle is like, I felt so good in there on the diet and the no caffeine. And I was like, I'm only going to go back to maybe 1 coffee a day. I'm already to almost 3 a day. It's a problem.
It's 9 a.m. and I'm on my second extra large coffee. It's fine.
That's bad.
I do need to go to the bathroom, but it's okay. I don't need to talk you through every step. Oh, do you know what we spoke about last week? We were talking about sleep. It seems to be a recurring theme on this podcast, but we were talking about how Matt has a Garmin and how he tracks his sleep. He's into the sleep tracking.
Yeah, and this came because I said that one of the amazing things about being in the jungle is you have no concept of time. So you don't know what time you go to bed, you don't know what time you wake up, and you don't know how many hours sleep you get. All you can go off is how you physically feel, which I think is amazing.
So I have a bone to pick with you, and also I have a bone to pick with Garmin. Garmin can go and eat my shit. This is how I feel about Garmin right now, because Garmin has gotten...
Why am I getting dragged into this?
I'm just angry. I'm tired and I'm angry. So I took your advice and I wore Matt's Garmin to sleep the other night. So we went out, we Saturday afternoon, we went to a friend's house. We'd had quite a few margaritas in the afternoon and I was feeling a little bit spicy and dicey. Anyway, went to bed, was a little bit drunk. Matt, that night, he was like, okay, wear my Garmin, see how your sleep is. Not only do I know that I woke up so much during the night, when I'm a bit hungover, I can't sleep. So I'm awake, laying at the ceiling awake. Not only that, I got up 3 times for Lola. Lola came into the bed. I went up and I got a bottle of water. Anyway, I woke up in the morning and I was like, I'm so glad. I am so glad I wore the Garmin last night because he's going to see just how bad my sleep was. 8 hours and 25 minutes, awake for 2 minutes. I was like, I want to write a letter.
But how is that possible if you got up 100 times?
You tell me.
Well, sorry, I'm still confused how the bone is being picked with me.
Because...
in this situation.
We all agreed that I needed to wear the Garmin
to gaslight him.
To prove to Matt that I am not getting enough sleep.
Yeah, but
then I got gaslit. It turned itself back on me.
Look, to be fair, in my defense, brilliant idea. To gaslight your husband with a Garmin, brilliant. That's a Garmin issue. That's not a me issue.
Yeah, it was really disappointing because then Matt pulled out his phone, he opened it up and he was like, you never can argue with me again. He's like, you got 8 hours and 40 minutes sleep.
Do you think that maybe you are getting more sleep than you think?
No.
But the Garmin says you are. And I love that.
That's the problem. So now I've resorted to anytime I'm awake, I'm waking Matt up just to prove a point, which is not going down well. He's not very happy about it or thrilled. But I think I'm going to keep this up for at least a week just to really prove a point.
I think you should wear it and do an average.
Yeah.
Or maybe,
but what if the average is high?
Maybe you need to take one for the team, have a really bad week, but maybe you just need to set alarms to wake yourself up so you have really disrupted nights and then show him that data.
Well, I was also like, how does Garmin know? If I'm awake, but I'm like...
How do they know?
I'm awake, but I'm just laying in bed and I'm peacefully laying in bed with my eyes open. How does it know? Do I need to shake my arm around vigorously? Do I need to do something that would indicate that I'm awake? Because the thing is wrong.
Well, it goes off heart rate and stuff like that as well. It's not just, you can't just put your arm out and wave it around, but it goes off a lot of things. It's got GPS trackers, it's got your heart
rate. Walk around the
room.
room.
Because it's doing your pulse and things like that. So you probably need to get up and do
some star jumps.
A Peloton workout.
Anyway.
Do a Peloton workout. But then Matt will get data. He's like, Laura, you were working out at 2 a.m.
Basically, I thought that this was going to help me, and it's really set me back, guys. Put it that way. It's really set me back. And also it's gaslit me. It's made me feel like maybe I'm getting more sleep than I think I am.
But maybe you are.
But the problem is I woke up and I was so tired. I was so tired still. Did you know that there's this research study that's come out? It's all over TikTok at the moment.
Women need more sleep.
Yeah, apparently women need minimum 9 hours sleep a night. Whereas like the 8 hours sleep was based on research of men. And up until 2024, they had never ever done a study of sleep on women, which
shock.
Yeah, surprising, isn't it?
Shock.
But women need 9 hours of sleep a night and an extra hour sleep if they're on their menstrual cycle. Crazy. Use that for the next time you want to debate about a sleep in.
Okay, well, today is a very important day. Everyone note in your diaries. Today it's 3 weeks to the day until Ben arrives.
Everybody,
if anyone cares.
Everyone is excited, but no one is as excited as you are.
Well, you know, I didn't actually say this on the podcast. I realized I spoke about it on my Instagram stories at the time, but I was supposed to surprise Ben. So I haven't seen Ben since January. You do the math. I was supposed to surprise him after the jungle. Long story short, a lot of things changed in the week. I had this week that I was supposed to be over there with my mum. My mum got really, really unwell. She couldn't even get out of bed. So we were like, let's just send you home. So I was like, oh my God, I have a couple of extra days. I'm going to sacrifice my flight, book a new flight overnight to surprise Ben in Scotland. Now, it cost me an arm and a leg, but I was like, love, I haven't seen him in months. It's going to be the ultimate surprise.
Crazy things.
Yeah. So booked this flight, and it's the only time ever I'd be able to surprise him because we speak every day and we FaceTime every day. So there's never going to be a time in my life where I can get secretly on a plane for 24 hours and him not know where I am. So I had said I'm going to fly home to Australia tomorrow. That was my thing, but really I was diverting to Scotland.
You could just tell him you're filming something for 24 hours. Like, I'm not going to be on my phone. My phone's been taken away. I'm doing
what
this.
What would I be filming for 24 hours?
There's a way in which you could get around it if you wanted to.
If anyone can come up with the idea about how I can surprise him ever, slide into my DMs because he always, even when we got on the flight, I was like, I'm going home to Australia now. He's like, send me your flight details. He loves to track it. So I had to send him fake flight details. I had to screenshot Ellie from the jungle. She had sent me a proper flight that she was on that he could track. Anyway, so I'd organised everything. I had his keys left out because my sister had said she was going to be at his house staying. It was the whole big thing. And then I get onto the plane and then he keeps messaging wanting to FaceTime and the flight was not the same flight as I'd tracked. So I told him that my phone died. So then I had to turn my phone off so that he couldn't.
You're just sitting on the plane waiting with no phone on.
It was a nightmare. And I was like, this is going to be worth a surprise. Also, just besides that, so horny. It's been months. So the idea of me knowing it was coming as well, like knowing it was coming, that I was going to be coming, that he was going to be coming.
Everything's coming.
Yeah. So when you know it's happening, in 24 hours, I was like, it's happening.
I will be unable to walk. Wheel me in.
And then I sat in the plane and it was a bit delayed and we waited and we waited and we waited 7 hours. The plane taxied off, went down the runway and then was like, not today. Turned around, taxied back. 7 hours I sat there and then they cancelled the flight. This is now 1:30 in the morning. I had nowhere to go and then I was so upset and so emotional and so tired. So then I was like, okay, what do I do now? Do I try and wait to see?
So horny.
And so horny. And nowhere to go to fix that. There was nowhere to go. I had no safe place.
I'm just so horny.
I'm just so horny. Girls, it's just been in the jungle on TV for a month. 24 hours a day, I was in the jungle. So I had this moment. I was like, okay, I'll see if I can get another flight. But then already I was like, now how do I extend the lie? He knows when my flight's going to land. So everything was unraveling. And I ended up, they couldn't fly me for 2 more days and I only had 2 days to go there. So I called him hysterical. He's like, I've never seen you crying so much. He thought someone had passed away. He's like, what's wrong, babe? What's wrong? Because I was so upset. And then I told him everything and I was like, I was supposed to be surprising you, blah, blah, blah. So now it means from January to June is when I haven't seen him. But the countdown is on 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Today.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody's going to put it in their calendars,
are.
but it's in our calendar. And I'm excited for you.
Put it in your calendar.
Let us know if you do, but we are all very excited for you.
Thank you.
We can't wait to see him.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I just want to have sex so bad. But one thing I have noticed is
I just want to have sex so bad.
when you don't have sex, you don't want it as much. Like you lose. I feel like for that first few weeks.
When's that going to kick in for you, Britt?
Well, it did kick in. But then when I knew it was coming in 24 hours, I got back, I got back into my bloodstream, that horn dog vibe in the bloodstream.
Excitement.
That's science.
Lubricant.
Yeah, that's science. But when you don't have sex for a little while, you forget and you don't need it as much.
I think that's the thing about long-term relationships. You often feel as though you don't want it, and it's only when you're in the middle of it that you're like, oh, that's right, I quite enjoy this. I should do this more often. And then the next week, it's the same situation. You're like, I can't be bothered, can't be bothered. And then all of a sudden you're doing it again. You're like, that's right.
So last night,
okay. It's like Groundhog Day.
Full disclaimer, last night, I was ready for bed at like 8 o'clock at night. Never happens. I never go to bed before midnight. And I was like, yes, I'm just going to go to bed really early, going to watch something on TV. And I went through this nesting phase.
Where is this going?
Well, I went through this nesting phase. I'm just adding some shit. I went through this nesting phase yesterday where I cleaned my entire house, right? I don't know what was happening. I'm not pregnant.
You're ready. You're ready for them to come. You're preparing.
I was nesting.
Preparing your loins.
I found like my bag of vibrators and I was like, fuck yeah.
How many vibrators do you have in that bag?
So many.
How many?
10? We had a sex sponsor last year on the podcast. They sent me all of the dildos to try.
Can I ask a question? Because if we had a sex sponsor on the podcast, I didn't get sent a single dildo.
Yes, you did. You left it here.
Did I?
You get to send them all. You lose them. You lose them.
Sorry, sir, I lost my dildo.
I think you put it on the roof of your car and drove away and the dick flew off the back of the car.
What happened to my dildo? Where did it go? Keeshia, did you take my dildo? You did, didn't you?
You genuinely think it flung off the back of your car.
Do you know, okay, so we were at the markets the other day and for some reason we were talking about dildos. A friend of mine came home and the cleaner was in the house. The cleaner was in their bedroom just holding the dildo and the dildo was on. And then they didn't know what to do or what to say. The cleaner was just holding the on dildo in the bedroom. So that's how we got talking about dildos on the weekend.
I am shook.
What would you do?
Were they clothed?
What would you do?
Were their pants
on?
on?
They were completely dressed. They were completely clothed. They were cleaning. The dildos were in a cupboard though, and they'd had to have opened the cupboard. And the cleaners never they only clean around things. They don't organize. So the shit, they're not in there organizing the dildos. But they'd obviously opened the cupboard, gotten a dildo, and were just quite far away from where the cupboard is with the dildos, with the dildo on. What were they doing with the dildo?
That is the most unanswered question. I'm never going to sleep again. What was she doing meters away from the dildo cupboard with the dildo on?
Why did she have the dildo?
Why did she have the dildo?
Okay, so that's how we got speaking about dildos on the weekend at the farmer's market.
But did she have plans to use that dildo?
I don't know.
But
no one does.
What did they do in that moment? Because surely you're like... So you don't just have a standoff and look at each other and then just walk out. And
the cleaner said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It just turned on. I was trying to figure out how to turn it off. That was the conversation. Just turned on.
It didn't turn on meters away in your hand.
With a bit of spray and wipe, just turned on.
Oh,
I don't know.
What was she doing?
Anyway, so we were talking about that and Matt turns around to me in a group of people and he goes, you don't even have a dildo. And I was like, how do you not know that I have vibrators? How do you not know? Do you never open the cupboard? There are 4 of them and he's just never noticed. Sometimes they're sitting on the side bed I didn't even put it away and he's never realized it's a dildo.
Has he never seen you use it?
No. I think I need to spice up our sex life a little bit because the poor guy's got no idea. He was like, he looked genuinely shocked. What do you mean you have a dildo?
Yeah. Well, this is where...
And then I felt like I had to lie to him and be like, don't worry, I never use them.
Well, yeah, because you can't be not having sex and using them. We've spoken about that.
Yeah, you can't.
No, I mean, you can do what you want, your body, your choice. But if you're saying to your partner that you don't want it, but you're masturbating secretly all the time.
It's like saying to your partner, oh, honey, I'm really tired, I'm going to bed, and then laying on your phone for 45 minutes, which we all do. We all do. It's the same thing. I'm not ready for sex. And then just going up to the bed and...
But you watch porn,
it's
don't you?
It's different. Sometimes, no, not really anymore. Can't be bothered. It's too much effort.
Okay, sidestep. Instagram's doing me dirty. You know when... sidestep. You know when sometimes, I don't know if this happens to anyone else, or not just Instagram, but your phones, old photos will pop up of your exes or photos will pop up from a friend group out and someone that you used to date or something is in them. And you're like, oh, I wasn't ready for that. Okay, that is happening to me so much right now with 2 people from my past, of Jordan, obviously, but Jordan's been playing amazing tennis lately, which is great for him, but he's everywhere on my feed because I don't follow Jordan, but I'm seeing him all the time.
Yeah.
But that was one thing I expected, right? I expected to see him pop up. But there is someone that I was seeing right before my Ben, right? He's probably the only person I really dated in that when I was having that time off. And it was very cash. I'm going to preface it with this. It was very cash.
Britt's very secretive about the men that she's seeing unless it's a serious thing. I didn't even know that this was happening until it had happened. And then it was over.
Because I think like unless I think something's here's me. I respect the people I date now, I'm going to tell you.
No. I call bullshit on that. Do you know what it is? It's not about respecting the people you date, which obviously, very important.
I do respect them.
But what it's about is not telling me for fear of me bringing it up on the podcast.
Yeah, probably a bit of A, bit of B.
It's content. You're like, I'm so worried about sharing every aspect of my life and Laura not knowing where the privacy limit sits.
I was also enjoying it. I didn't want you to ruin it for me. I was enjoying it. No, so I met this guy very briefly. We're dating, but now I'm seeing him everywhere because he is this is just going to out him. I feel he's a stunt double.
In what movie, Britt?
For Ryan Gosling in The Fall Guy. So he is Ryan Gosling's stunt double. There it is. There you go. Off you go. Have a Google. Anyway, I haven't heard from him or seen him since he was here filming that.
You might not even know if you see him. You might just think it's Ryan Gosling. You probably see him all the time.
Probably, yeah. I basically, there's the rumor. I was with Ryan Gosling. I fucked Ryan Gosling.
Sorry, Eva.
No, but anyway, he is very quiet on social media because he's always behind the scenes. He likes being a stunt man for the fact that he's not the main man. He's not an actor as such, but he's just very good at stunts. But the whole idea of The Fall Guy is it's about stunts. It's a stunt man. Ryan Gosling is a stunt man. So the whole publicity tour, it's like as big, it feels like it's as big as Barbie, man. Like they're everywhere and every publicity everywhere, everything that they do, every red carpet, all the social media they're doing, all the talk shows, the stunt men are there and it's about them because, credit where credit's due kind of a
Which
thing.
is interesting because usually they're behind the scenes. But in this movie, like the setup of it is that they're very much front facing.
Yeah. So he's everywhere. So I'm seeing him everywhere. I'm talking things like Puberty and Led Bible, like all these big accounts. I think he did Carpool with who's that? What's that TV show? You know how they do Carpool? Whatever. He's doing everything. So I'm seeing him pop up everywhere. And I forwarded it to Keeshia the other day. A story of him and I said, man, this guy is all over my feed right now. The next day I get a DM and I have not spoken to this guy since he was here filming it, which is before Ben, so over 18 months. Hey Britt, have you seen The Fall Guy yet? I was like,
nothing else.
That's it.
Hey Britt.
And I was like, good, thanks, how are you? I said, no, actually, I haven't. Sorry, I've been busy. He goes, I guess you're busy in the jungle. And I was like, yeah, I've been pretty busy. But also, even if I had seen it, I probably would have said no anyway.
Just to play cool.
Like, I'd probably been like, I haven't seen it. I said, I have seen you popping up everywhere, yes. Anyway, it was just so funny. It was just like out of 18 months having not ever spoken to you. And we just hung out. We were just friends that were, use your imagination.
What kind of friends, Britt? What were you doing? Making friendship bracelets and talking about Taylor Swift.
Imagine stunt double sex.
You're surprisingly flexible.
I am.
Yeah,
Did you see me put my leg around my head on the jungle?
It's like Britt's secret thing is that she's actually weirdly flexible.
Overly flexible. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Stunt Double enjoyed that.
Anyway, it was just funny. It was just a blast from the past.
There's nothing worse than when they just pop up out of nowhere. It's usually, hey, how you doing? It's not usually like,
have you seen my movie?
I'm famous. I am famous.
No, but I guess that was the shared connection, right? Like when we were dating, he was going to film that every day. So it was like, I guess that's the thing where it's come full circle now. It's out, the promos are on. He's like, hey, have you seen it? Like, have you seen? Because he would show me snippets of what he was filming. He would show me, he's like, look, I exploded on the Sydney Harbour Bridge in a car today. And I was like, wow, that's cool. So he probably wants to see if it's translated, if I've seen what he's done, the hard work he's done. But I have not. I have not seen it. I have not watched it. I may not watch it.
It's kind of you to reduce all that down from, hey, have you seen The Fall Guy yet? It's really nice of you to unpack it to that sort of nuance.
Because that's what I'm like. I feel all of a sudden I feel bad like I've outed him. He was probably, yes.
You did out him and it's great. I'm enjoying it.
Anyway, he was lovely. Not a bad word to say.
Okay, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that has been in the news just recently, and it's because I think it is something that most of us, I won't say all of us, I can't relate to it because I don't do it, but I think some of you might relate to it. Now, Drew Barrymore has come out and said that she left her sex list at Danny DeVito's house, which
is just a funny sentence in itself.
No one ever thought that was going to be a headline, but it was a headline. This was on her show. This is what happened.
Has anyone here kept the list?
No.
Nah.
Story.
I know. Drew, you have a list, and where is it?
I made a list,
And it was back in the day. I did it with paper and pen.
Smart.
I'm the most disorganized person. I lose everything.
Don't say it.
Yep.
Left it on
You
a plane.
lost the
Left it on a
list?
plane.
I left it at someone's house.
Yeah, not just anybody's house, though.
Well, I was producing a film that Danny DeVito was directing. And so I wrote the list on the back of a set of notes for the film. So I left it at Danny DeVito's house.
Now, okay, it's pretty anticlimactic because he didn't find the list, which would have been far juicier. And I was saying to producer Keeshia today that I kind of felt like it was content for content's sake. Like, I'm questioning whether it even happened. Who's just leaving their sex list around willy-nilly? My question is, why would you ever write it down in hard copy with a pen and paper? Don't people just keep these things in the notes in their phone?
But the weirder part is that she wrote it on the back of like a script. It was like,
But why?
that's my point. I'm like, why in that moment when you're on a set, when you're on a film set with Danny DeVito, did you be like, I've got an idea, but first let me write my sex list out. Flip the script over, write it out. The whole thing is very, very funny. But I can't relate because I don't have a sex list. I've never written one. I'm not that person, that girl that writes the notes.
I understand that there are list keepers. Some people are just born list keepers, and that's probably someone who's more inclined to keep a sex list. I have tried. I am chaotic and disorganized, which also translates back to my sex life. But I tried. I remember, because when we're in the batch house, I mean, I know this is so long ago now, like 7-8 years ago. And it was obviously before Matt was committed to me and he was dating a lot of other women. And we had so much downtime. Like, I'm talking like there's hours where you're sitting around that house just waiting. And so I remember I was laying in bed this one night and I was like, well, I guess I'll just try and write them down. And I did put them into a hard copy notebook because I didn't have a phone on me, all right?
Did all the other, was this a thing all the girls were doing?
just me.
Oh, so you just
Just
thought,
me.
how could I possibly fill my time? And that was what popped into your mind.
Yeah, well, I'm a good baked banana bread. I could write down my sex list. It was alarming to me, how I could picture someone's face but not their name. Couldn't remember their name. So I had things in my sex list like police officer, Camperdown.
Station, Camperdown Station.
I could not remember. And I still, for the life of me, I cannot remember the man's name. We didn't just have one night stand. I dated him. We went on multiple dates. I can picture his face. I can picture the things we talked about on the date. I know the movie we went to. We went and saw La La Land, also Ryan Gosling. But
There's a real theme today.
I cannot remember his name. And so I just wrote down policeman. And then the thing that was also even more surprising is that every couple of days after I started the list, I would just be like in the middle of doing something and then, oh my God, there's another one. French guy, Tinder. Can't remember his name either.
Yeah, I mean, whilst I haven't written a list, I still think about them. Well, I don't think about them. I often go to sleep and think about them. That's false, Ben. False. I don't think about them. But I have, when I think about them, like right now, if you were like, try and write a list in your head, I also probably know, this sounds terrible, 10% of names, but I choose to forget them. Like I have made that conscious choice. But mine's the same, especially because so much of my 20s was A, single, but B, traveling around the world. So like a lot of hookups where you see them for a week or a couple of days or 2 days and then they're gone. So mine's like location based, like hostel, Germany.
And that's just a tally.
Bolivia.
It's Roman numerals.
Bolivia salt flats, But when you just said you forgot, I forget not just the people that I have like hooked up with. I actually forgot someone I completely dated. Like I had said I loved this person and I forgot them. My sister Sherry was like one day, I think it was like last year ago, she goes, did you ever speak to Nick again? And I was like, Nick. She's like, yeah, Nick. And I was like, who's Nick? She's like, Nick. I was like, I don't know who you're talking about. She's like, who you dated? Nick. And I was like, who I dated? In my head, I was like, is there someone I hooked up with somewhere for a little while? And I was like, I have no idea who you're talking about. She's like, Nick, you were with him for like 7 months. You went on an overseas holiday together. You broke up overseas. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, that Nick.
Sorry. I completely forgot that I had like this a year. Basically, I wiped it from because I was
understandable. I'm not even mad about it. I feel like your brain only retains the important information. We're too old now.
But I loved him.
No, you're not really.
No, I didn't.
You didn't. That's the thing.
I know now I didn't. But at the time I said I did.
Yeah, we all say things
until we had to
regret.
share a single bed and he farted. That was him. The single bed guy that farted.
You've actually spoken about him in the podcast before. No,
Yeah.
I think I'm 20. Sorry, I'm not 20. I'm 20 years on from when I first started having sex, right? Like more, 22, whatever.
Oh, please.
I-
You're just a little older than that.
No, 22. No, I was a late bloomer. I was like late. I was like almost 18. So it's been so many years. I feel like we did a poll. We polled you guys. 79% of you don't keep lists. 21% of you do keep a list. And I think it could be age related. I think when you're younger, you're more inclined to keep a list. You're keeping a mental tally. And then as time goes on, you're like, oh, why would I subject myself to that information? I'm going to let the list go.
I asked Ben last night if he had a list out of curiosity because I thought I don't know, do you think men or women are more likely to have lists?
Women, way more likely to keep a list if I was to gender it.
I feel like women are more likely to keep a list physically, but I think men are more likely to keep a tally because it's like a flex, don't you reckon?
Yeah, but I think that's fucking gross.
Yeah, he didn't have a list or a tally because he's a beautiful gentleman.
I've never this is, and I know this kind of like just leads into a whole different conversation, but I think when I was younger and I was in more early relationships, I'm talking like in my 20s and stuff, I found it more common for people to ask if you knew how many people you'd slept with, right? Like I feel like that was a more common thing that was asked. And as you're older, and like it was weird then, but if you're in your 30s and people are asking like, how many people have you slept with? I think that's a weird question to ask when you're an adult because firstly, the answer should not make a difference.
No, and it doesn't.
But I think as you get older, most people stop keeping a track record. They just do.
I don't know.
We just move past
I
it.
reckon there are heaps of women that still keep a track record. And it's not, I think it's more just out of curiosity. It's like you, like I'm just going to write it down one day. Like it's just a thought. I reckon it's more common than not. What did our poll say?
21% did, 79% didn't. But then we also asked the question, do you use real names in your list?
Yeah.
Do you use nicknames? And I say nicknames, but really that's just the name that you give someone because you can't remember their real name.
Yeah.
Or do you use a mix of both? And it was 33% said they used real names. Good for them. 14% used nicknames. And 53% use a mix of the two because they probably can't remember all of the real names.
Yeah, and we got some funny ones. We asked, tell us what's in your phone right now. Like, who have you written down in your sex list that you can't remember? And it's like, call me daddy. That's podcast. Call me daddy. Guy missing half his big toe. Lol, okay, no. How do you notice that someone's missing half their big toe when you're having sex? Where's the foot? Where is the toe? Is that like 69er, but you glance up? Imagine a 69er and you glance up and there's half a toe.
Two pumper number 4.
That's probably
Two
pretty standard.
Pumper number 4. I don't get it.
Well, he's a 2 pumper, but I wonder where the number 4 comes in.
Oh, okay. Keisha's explaining this one. She thinks it's the 4th guy who's only needed 2 pumps.
Yeah, that's probably
The
right.
4th guy, the 4th one. Thick dick is another one.
He
but
deserves
thick with
to
a
know.
double C.
Send him that. He
Let him
deserves
know.
to know. Yeah, thick double C. Faxy, because he had a fax machine in his room.
It was 2003. Palate cleanser.
Or piranha. I would love to know the background of these. Piranha, obviously, he's been eating her. Oh, no. Is that right? Or is that a sex thing I don't know?
No, I think he's been eating her alive.
What?
I think he ate her alive with
Ate
his
her alive?
teeth.
A bit
I think he's teethy.
Oh, on the flaps.
Yeah. Or the clitoris. We could be really descriptive.
Bro,
I think he's
if
teethy.
you're biting off a clitoris,
Well,
you can't see that through.
Might be why he's called piranha.
People like a bit of biting if it's like on the neck and or the nipple.
I
or
don't
like,
think piranha is like a positive term. I don't think people are like, oh, that guy, I can't remember his name, but piranha.
What about pissed on my floor guy? I've had one of those.
This one I think is great because it's really descriptive without being descriptive at all. Drew, Neil, or Phil.
She can't be
She's
sure.
like, I know his name was beige as fuck, but
With
I can't
4
remember
letters.
which one.
It's 4 letters.
But also going back to 2 pump and number 4, now we've got 2 pump chump. Unfortunately, there's quite a few men out there with a 2 pump.
Okay, this one concerns me. Gouda, cheese.
Ew.
That's concerning because I'm getting
We all
cheese
understand.
willy.
We get it.
I'm getting
we get
cheese
it.
dick.
What about
Cheese-
parsnip?
You know, like, hang on, I'm back on the cheese dick. Let's not buzzword.
No.
You know,
no, it takes me
those-
back to being 18 and it's
You
really...
know those long cheeses that you peel down? I just wanted to put the visual in your head. Sorry.
What? No, see, when I can't. Let's not unpack that.
Blue cheese.
Yeah, I'm thinking smelly cheese. I'm thinking like camembert. That's got a bit of mold on the outside
that's
and then it's
blue.
creamy on the inside.
Blue cheese is the mold.
Yeah, but no, camembert has mold. It's got white mold. It's what keeps the whole
Yeah, but white
thing
mold's
contained.
okay. White mold's delicious.
Okay, what about parsnip? Do we think parsnip is a description of the shape? It could be thick on the base, thin at the top.
No.
Like a carrot.
I think parsnip That might be go back to maybe he made her a parsnip soup.
I don't think so. I think it's to do with the shape of his very, very elongated willy.
What does a parsnip look like? I'm Googling it.
I like Casper because obviously he just disappeared. And Mattress Car Guy is also a top favorite.
Oh my God.
Don't have sex with boys who have mattresses in the back of their car.
I just Googled parsnip. There's no way his penis looks like that.
Yeah, that's why I think it's parsnip.
Like that. No way.
Sorry to anyone who has a parsnip penis.
If you guys have a list, but nicknames only, no names,
Or
no
first names.
No.
Could be first names.
Yeah, but as long as it's not first names and then their job and then their home address. Like, we don't want to be able to identify
Yeah,
these
we don't want to
people.
dox people.
But go and share your list. Like, they're always so funny. So share them in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Maybe some of you have both had Gouda cheese. Who knows?
If you have a hilarious list that you've kept and it's majoritively nicknames, screenshot it from your notes and put it in the Facebook group because we need a laugh and we enjoyed that.
I also wonder how in depth some people go. Are they like categorized by years? Are they like?
I think it depends on the personality type. If you're an A personality type and you are a list keeper, that list is thorough. If you were me and you forget things like dildos on top of your car, you're probably going to forget the names of most people and you're going to fill in the blank.
I probably got your dildo off top of the car. That's probably why I have 10.
Yes, I told you.
It probably flew off your car into my car, and I was like, "Fine, let's keep this."
You stole my dildo.
I didn't steal your
stole
dildo.
it.
Take better care of your sex toys.
You stole my dildo.
Take better care of
Just
your sex
because I
toys.
leave a dildo at the office doesn't mean it's free game for anyone to take home.
Bro, it wasn't. You didn't leave it at the office. It flew off your car.
This is an exaggeration. Why are you picking my dildo up out of the gutter?
It was because it was still in the box. You think you were walking around work with a dildo like flapping around that you'd used? Like, hey, just ducking into the wellness room at the new office.
It was not on the roof of my car. All right. Look, I mean, this is a very sex-filled episode today.
It wasn't supposed to be, actually.
It really wasn't. But, okay, well,
But here we are.
we tossed up a few things and we realised everyone's going to be talking about Peter Stefanovic. So we were like, let's talk about Craig David
Let's
instead.
talk about Craig David.
Craig David, he's come out. And I think this is interesting.
Well, he hasn't come
No,
out.
he might have come, though. He's celibate. He's not coming.
No, I think he's not coming.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Anyway.
Okay, look, he's 42.
He's not coming inside anyone, that's for sure.
Since he was 40 years old, so for the past 2 years, he has been completely celibate. He has decided that he doesn't want any intimacy, like romantic intimacy in his life, because he wants to work on healing his own issues with himself, but also prioritizing other things that are more important. And I
I'm
think,
here for it.
yeah, same. But I mean, for somebody who wrote a song that's all about fucking.
Well, that's why it's so good, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can all reinvent who we are, can't we?
Craig David wrote a song about meeting a girl on Monday and having her in the bed on Wednesday and then like meeting someone else on Friday or some other. There were a lot of days and sex involved.
And on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, we chilled on Sunday.
And then we fuck on Monday.
That's not the words.
No, but that would have been a great song. But he's like, now we don't fuck for a decade. So he has sung a song about how he gets laid, and now he's come out saying that he's celibate, which I think is great. But I think the funny thing about it is the way he talks about it. He's like, literally, no drama, vibes only. I'm so creative. Like, I'm banging out songs. I'm not banging chicks. And life is great from it. But there actually is so much scientific research to say that we are better people. We are more productive. We're more creative when we are not ejaculating.
Well, this was his quote. It has been really good for me because, man, the studio music, the creativity, it's like no drama, just vibes. I know to the date it's been 2 years now for me without sex, but in a funny way, much as I was like, wow, to myself for the moment, my creativity has been 100% on max for those 2 years, which I agree with, because when you're in the throes of like toxic dating, toxic relationships, like the effort that goes into trying to find new people to date, to manage their emotions, blah, 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 all that shit, it really, it's like having another job. It takes up so much time and so much mental energy that he's like, holy shit, how much work I can get done when I'm not out trying to like bone chicks every single day.
Yeah, and as somebody who is unintentionally celibate, that is myself, I can agree to this. I think you're so much more productive. And I have always said this when I have gone through these dry spells of like not dating, not even just the sex, but not dating. And it goes back to what you said, Laura. It's like the no drama. You don't have to use your brain to think of anyone else. Like, you can prioritize yourself. You can be selfish, and every decision you make can be about you. It means you are going to be better at everything that you do because you've got more energy to put on yourself.
That's exactly the excuse I use for Matt.
What do you mean?
I just
like we can't have sex because I want to focus
trying
on
to
my
be- I'm trying to
creativity.
focus on my creative outlets.
I mean, Craig David has come out and said that he believes that the repeated one-night stands that he had at the height of his fame in his 20s and 30s led to many different traumas. And that is why. So Craig David is blaming his one-night stands, which probably came off the back of his song.
I mean, you can't really blame your one night. So I think you've got to blame yourself in that moment.
Yeah, you can't blame your one-night stands.
Blame your bad decision making is what it is. The only part of this I think is like, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I do know how I feel, but I hate the way I feel. So
how do you feel?
He said that when he was 16 years old, he went through a really bad breakup and that he was completely in love with her. She broke his heart. And then that was what set him off for like being terrible in relationships, basically. His inability to commit, his inability to have healthy relationships. Now, I know, and I am fully aware after doing this podcast for how long we've done it, how toxic this is. But part of me hears him say that and go, oh, the poor thing. He's like a broken man that needs love. And then the other part of me is like, oh my God, you are deflecting. You know, you're not taking any responsibility for the way you've treated people for the past like 2 decades. You're placing that blame on something that happened to you when you're 16, which is crazy.
Well, he said that the one night stands and the not wanting to commit and like just have sex like that, he blames that on the trauma of when he was 16. The trauma of when he was 16, I just want to really get you guys to understand. It was a 2-week whirlwind romance. It was 2 weeks when he was 16. No, you can't make that up.
Okay.
It was 2-week whirlwind romance. He said he'd never felt anything like that before and my heart closed down. Of course you haven't felt anything like that before. You're 16. You don't feel that love and romance at 16.
This just goes to show though how much and this is me and my past traumas, me wanting to fix the broken bird, like being attracted to the broken bird. Part of me is like, oh, poor thing. And then I read that and I'm like, you have issues and I have issues.
Okay.
Deep issues.
I love to be, bit on both sides. Like what's the angel on one side and the devil on the other of your shoulder? Like I like to look at
Devil's
things both
advocate?
sides. Okay, fucking couldn't think of that. Thank you. It's a devil's advocate.
You're welcome. I gotcha.
No, but there's most of me, 80% of me is laughing at this because I'm like, there's more at play here. It's your whole life hasn't come down to a 2-week whirlwind romance when you were 16. But when I think back to when I was 16, I was dating this guy called Mitch. Use the term dating loosely because you're 16. Like you're at school, you write letters to each other and you pass them over at lunchtime. Anyway, we were together for an entire year. 15. Oh, it was 14 to 15. We
How
were
do you
young.
even remember this shit? You can't
He was
remember
my
a guy you dated in your 20s, but you remember some dude you dated when you were 14.
This is my point. This is why I understand Craig David. Everyone remembers that first love and the first heartbreak. So I get what he's saying in that because when he broke up with me, bet he regrets that now. No, I'm joking. He broke up with me and I thought I was going to marry him. I remember being 15 thinking like there will be no love like this. Like this is my person. And because, you used to talk to each other like that. Like he would say the same thing to me and you'd write these gushy letters because you're just feeling these feelings for the first time in your life. That's the age where you've never felt a love like a romantic love. And, you have your family love and all this different stuff. And when he broke up with me, I thought my life was over. And I remember saying to my mum, I was bawling in my room and she came in and she must have been trying not to laugh as a mother. Like
I know. I remember having the exact same situation with my mum.
Like not laugh at me because I'm upset. She was obviously there for me. But part of her must have been like, wow,
So
one
juvenile.
day you'll laugh at yourself. Because I was like, I will never date again.
No, wait. But Craig David actually did that. He had his heart broken at 16 and then turned into a 40-year-old man who has never dated again for fear of those feelings.
Which is wild. But I remember saying, I said to Mum, I'll never find a love
there's
like
so much
that
wrong with
again.
it.
And Mum was like, I promise you, I know you feel like that, but you will.
Well, imagine if you were Craig David and your mum had that conversation with him because he could turn around as a 42-year-old man and say, well, no, Mum, I
Told ya,
didn't.
I didn't.
I told you. I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah, but he also made millions of dollars from a song about sex, about hooking up.
I don't think, I mean, not that we need to get into the psyche of Craig David. No one really cares. But
I think we do care.
I don't think that it has anything to do with being a 16-year-old and having his heart broken. I think it has to do with becoming monumentally famous and being in a position of power and having so much choice when it comes to women and never having to settle because there's always going to be this rotisserie of women. And then he's gotten to the ripe old age of 40, and not that that's not as old, but he's realized, oh my God, my life is so vacuous. There's nothing here that has meaning. There's nothing here that has purpose. And so much of my feelings of inadequacy or validation all comes from this like rotating door of like very temporary validation. All of my relationships are so superficial. I think like he's just had a literal midlife crisis around the way he's behaved for the past 20 years.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, like he said, I'm just reading some more things he said, but he said like, and it does add up. He said, look, I've always kept women's at arm's length. And I do feel like it's the rejection from years ago has become a defense mechanism.
Oh, get over it.
Which, no, but there is something in that. But I think the fact that he's sat on that for 25 years is where the problem is. Like, we all have those feelings of when you're rejected, sometimes you decide you don't, or a trauma happens to you in a relationship. You're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to, because I did that for a long time. And I think it was after my dating my ex with a double life. I was like, without knowing it, I was like, I'm never going to let anyone get close to me again because I don't want to go through that. But I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but also I get over that. I worked through that.
This is what I say by I hate myself, because one part of me is like, oh my God, the broken bird, fix them. And then the other part of me, the more rational part, is like, you are a grown man and you are blaming the way that you have treated women for the past 20 years on one female from when you were 16.
Yeah,
like you
it's
have
hilarious.
categorized an entire gender and your behavior towards that gender because of the way you got treated once. Like it's so deeply wrong, but like I said, you know, I have issues.
It's also like being serious. It's an age thing for sure. Like you said, when you're all of a sudden when you're in your 40s, you want more substance than when you're in your 20s. Like you're happy to go and have sex and have meaningless.
Not everyone.
No, but a lot of people are happy to go and have meaningless sex because they're in their 20s and they feel like they don't need more. That's what they're looking for at that time in their life. But when you hit, I think personally, your 30s into your 40s, you've had sex. You realize that you do want more of a connection or intimacy or a conversation, something that is more in depth and more of a connection than just like, hey, you're hot, we're attracted, we got chemistry, but we can't talk about anything, or we don't want the same things, or we don't have the same morals. Like there does come a point where just fucking isn't enough.
The real question here is, do you think Craig David keeps a list?
Yeah, 100%. He would have written a song on it.
I'd love to see the notes of his phone.
I would love to hear the song on 2 Years of No Sex when he made his millions on a song about sex every day.
Yeah. I'm not sure it'll be as much of a blockbuster though.
On Monday, we held hands. On Tuesday, butterfly kiss.
All right, it is time for our accidentally unfiltered, your most embarrassing stories. This is a goodie. I recently decided to treat myself and booked in for a facial at a pretty well-known place. Upon entering the treatment room, I was instructed to remove any clothing above my waist and put this cape on, a piece of fabric that was folded neatly on the chair. Before I had a chance to ask, the esthetician had left the room. So I stripped off my top and my bra and I put the cape around my neck, did up the ties. I wore it just like a Superman cape over my back.
Why?
I held the two edges together at the front to try and cover my chest a little bit. When the esthetician returned, she muffled a giggle and gently told me that the cape needed to go around my arms and around my chest so they could massage my neck and shoulders. Standing there topless, I had to remove my cape and put it on while she was still standing there watching. I have never gone back. Just imagining her there with her boobies out and a cape on.
Do you know what I find weird?
Dun,
Okay.
da, da, da.
This just made me think. I spoke to you guys a couple of weeks ago about how I started getting laser hair removal. So you need to get like six times. But I had my first one however long ago, a couple
I
of
need
weeks
to
ago.
go.
And I got the whole kit caboodle, full legs,
Ass crack, back, and
Brazilian
whole.
underarms. Yeah. I just find it so weird because, you know, when you go and get a pap smear or, you know, everything that I did for fertility, it's very internal. Like you're getting so many internal ultrasounds, so many like poking and prodding. But every time you go in and you strip off, you lay there, you always get something just to lay over you for a bit of
modesty,
just for that feeling. They don't give you that at laser. She's like, take it off and lay down. And
It's fake modesty, though. Like
but
they're
it
still
feels-
looking at your bum hole, and you're just there with a towel over the front.
but
Like,
so
what's the point?
when you're laying there, right, and then you're getting your legs lasered, imagine if you could just have a little towel over your fanny. But you can't. I just laid there and my whole vagina is out. And then she's like, legs to the side. I'm just opening my legs up with my vagina there.
She's a realist.
Then
She's like, a towel's just getting in the way. Got a job to do. Get it done.
So then she's doing the back of my legs, and she's like, "Oh, so are you getting the Hollywood?" And I was like, "What? The Hollywood?" She goes, "Do you get the Hollywood?" And I was like, "I don't understand what the Hollywood is." She goes, "The Hollywood." And I was like, "Do you mean my butthole?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, do my butthole." I was like, "Why? Just call it a butthole." I was like, "What's a Hollywood?" I don't know what a Hollywood is. Anyway,
It's the hole.
a Hollywood.
It's the whole E-wood.
But I'm like, just give me a little modesty towel because I feel very exposed.
I think that it's dependent on the place that you go to. I think that some places would give you a little modesty hand towel, unnecessary, because they're literally going to look from the front to the back and all through the crack. But it's nice to have.
I feel like there's a song in that.
It's
From
Craig David.
front to the back and down
All
your
the way
crack.
through your crack.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. We've lost it. Okay. I haven't been and I need to go back because I would like to get all of that sorted.
Yeah. Maybe you can get it at the same time as your labiaplasty.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll be out for that, so then I won't know.
Like a shave and snip.
Yeah. And you wake up and you're totally bald. You literally wake up, you look 16 again. That's my plan.
So tight and compact. And hairless. I'm like the hairless cat.
What is this? My prepubescent vagina? Is she back?
What's it called? A sphinx.
My little sphinx cat? No, because they're wrinkly.
That's
the
what
whole
you'd
thing.
be in someone's sex list as, the sphinx. Someone somewhere has written you as that.
No, they certainly haven't anytime soon. That's for sure. What would Matt write me as?
The celibate.
Lopsided, probably at the moment.
Offside. One side heavy.
Left side heavy.
Elongated.
Too much.
Can you actually?
Loppy.
Can we do this? I would like the three of us to go home. Keeshia, producer Keeshia included, ask our respective partners.
What offensive thing they would put us in their
Not
sex list as.
offensive, but how would you, if you had hooked up with us on the first night or whatever, what would we be in their sex list as? So Ben actually asked me last night.
Matt would be six pack.
That's
which
what
is
you
nice.
put him in,
I'd
as
put him
six-pack.
as. He's just got it is obscene how good his six pack is. It's like it's drawn on. It's obscene.
I feel like there's no comment I can make here that won't get me in trouble. I have not seen his six pack is what I will go with.
It's stupid. It's beyond stupid.
I would put Ben as, off the top of my head, I would say movie.
Movie. Well,
Yeah.
the guy from the Fall Guy. Or your Ben.
No, my Ben, because the sex on the first night was like something out of a movie. I felt like I was living out my movie dreams. You know, sex in movies isn't real sex. You know, they pick you up around there, you're against the wall and it's passionate, and then they flip you around and it's like,
What happened after that?
he Hollywooded me. Jokes. It was just amazing. It was just amazing sex. But I always think of that first night, and I remember telling you guys saying like, I think I told you, Laura. I think I said I was like, the sex was like a movie because I thought I was never going to see this guy again.
All right, we need to stop complimenting our partners.
No,
Six-pack
I
and
want
Hollywood.
I want you to ask your partners what they'd put you as.
I don't want to be insulted on a
They
Monday.
won't be insulted. Yours would be smoke show hot. Keish, do you think yours would be insulted?
I think I know what mine would be. I think it would be, so on our first date, we were at this really nice restaurant, and my boyfriend really likes wine. He's like a full wine person and, you know, enjoys that. I don't even drink wine. So he was ordering this really fancy wine, and the girl from Newcastle, who you can take out of Newey but you cannot take the desires, I was ordering absinthe spritzers.
What the fuck is an absinthe?
That's okay though.
An
You know,
absinthe?
absinthe, like
70%
it used to be
alcohol.
hallucinogen.
Why were you drinking absinthe on a first date?
And what restaurant still serves absinthe?
Hubert in Sydney. Really nice restaurant, quite fancy. Because
absinthe?
I love it. I love the taste of absinthe. I think it's so good. Anyway, they make these spritzers. They still do. I had one like last week there.
It's like having a meth spritzer. What the fuck?
It's like mezcal.
I don't know if it's as strong in Australia. I think it must not be. I don't think you could get an alcohol of 70%. But anyway, that's what he would have put me in his phone as if we had only had a one night stand, I
Meth.
think. Absinthe girl.
Not okay.
Do you reckon?
Yeah,
okay.
because we brought it up heaps since, and I'm like, I'm actually surprised you took me on a second date because it's so bogan. to
How
just be
sloppy
like-
were you?
I wasn't bad. I didn't have too many. I had a couple, but like, you know, chirpy.
I thought you were going to say he was going to call you spritzer, and I was like, that could be pretty good. That could go either way. The spritzer.
Could be either.
That is such an aggressive drink for a first date. I am impressed and scared of you. If I went on a date with a guy and he started drinking absinthe,
I'd be like, I'm calling a taxi.
I was like, this girl needs therapy. She's had some trauma.
No, but this is good. I think
Would have
there's
been good for you, Laura. Broken bird. You would have assumed that I had problems.
I was like, ooh, I'll date her. I'll marry her. I can fix her.
I think that this is good, and I genuinely want you to do this. I want you to think about now what you think we know yours, Keeshia. You think he would say, absinthe girl, but now go and ask what he would and tell us on Thursday, because I genuinely want to know if what you think they think of you is what they would have thought.
All right, I'll ask Matt
Yeah.
what I would be in his sex list when he first
After
met me.
after just meeting, not now, because you don't even make the sex list now. You're not on the list, and he doesn't have a list.
He doesn't have a list.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it.
He was a
from us,
virgin when we
guys.
met. No, you got an
Oh
accent
yeah.
unfiltered.
Fuck.
You want to share it?
Okay, my accent unfiltered. Now, this has come off the back of producer Keeshia was telling an accidentally unfiltered about her friend who mistook lube a couple of weeks ago. So this has come off the back of that. My husband and I were in Vegas. We decided to go to a sex club. We walked around, went into all the different rooms, spoke to some different people, and started getting hot and heavy in the main room. I love this. There were people all around us also having sex. It was a vibe. I asked my husband to go and get some lube, which was conveniently in the same room. I guess it was the main room. He brought it over to me, squirted 2 pumps into my hand, which I directly placed onto my vagina, only to realize that this was in fact not lube, but it was hand sanitizer. The pain and the burning in the middle of this sex room. We both ran to the bathroom where I attempted to wipe it off with paper and water. Sex was over.
It really does scream you've not done this before, doesn't it?
Sanitizer on, yeah. Tell me you've never been to a sex club without telling me you've never been to a sex club. Let's pump sanitizer onto our vagina. It actually reminds me, and I told this years ago, well, my sister Sherry, she came on the podcast years ago and she told her Accidentally Unfiltered, where her and her partner Jay, her husband Jay, were getting freaky one night and she like leant over to find some lube and scooped out some coconut oil. And she put the coconut oil on and they started to have sex. Now, she's used coconut oil before in the past.
She was like, why does this feel activated?
And it was burning. She's like, something doesn't feel right. But she was like, I was in the moment. We kept going. Ignored the burn. And people never ignore the burn. Anyway, they got up and turned the light on and the coconut oil had been in there for like years and it was covered in mold.
Black mold?
Black mold.
She fucked black mold.
She fucked black mold. Yeah, 100%. They sexed black mold.
No wonder it was spritzy. Like tingly.
I reckon so many people have done that.
I don't. I actually think that's
No,
probably
not the
pretty
black
rare.
mold, but used the wrong thing for lube.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyways, look, guys, if you've got an Accidentally Unfiltered, slide in. Suck and sweets for the week. Brittany, what is your suck?
My suck this week is, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you would have seen, but Delilah, love of my life, the best dog in the whole universe, she was unwell this weekend, like really unwell, to the point that I took her to the vet, which I never do. Like usually if a dog is sick, like if a dog does one vomit, it's not the end of the world. You're like, oh, must have an upset tummy, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, she vomited so much over a 15-hour period, like probably 5 big vomits.
Oh, poor baby.
And she was like really moping around. I was like, something's not right. So I took her to the vet just to check her out and make sure. Anyway, cost me a bomb, which is fine because
that's what do it.
But that's what they do, right? They checked her, they did it, but she did not like that. Put the temperature in her butt. Man, she did not like that. I felt horrible. I was trying to pin her down and she was trying to get away. Anyway, they gave her anti-nausea injections and all this stuff. It was about $450, which is nothing for her health. Anyway, the second we walked out the door of the vet, it was like it was New Year's Eve. She was like, woo! She was absolutely fine. Not one other bit of sickness.
She probably needed the anti-nausea injections though.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have kicked in yet. They literally gave it to her and she walked out the door. And I was like, what? What's happening? I was like, why are you fine now after Mum's just paid a monster?
Just needed something stuck in her ass.
She just needed something. Well, she's only human. Nope, she's not human. She's a dog.
All right, and what is your sweet?
My sweet for the weekend is I had one of the best meals of my life at this new restaurant that I went to with some friends. The meal in question was a mushroom dish, literally. It was a vegetable. Mushroom is not I wouldn't have ordered it, but it was a share plate. It was the best thing I have ever eaten. Again, I don't know if this goes back to post-jungle where I'm like appreciating food more.
Like your taste buds are all heightened now.
I don't know what it is, but it was the most, I was like, how is a mushroom dish the most, but that's hats off to the chef, right? It's a new Maryvale. If anyone wants to know, it's a Maryvale restaurant in Sydney that's just opened up called Good Luck. Incredible.
I've heard of it.
I had not heard of it either until it was booked. But anyway, that was my recommendation.
So my suck for the week is actually also very animal and dog related. So Buster, he had this little cyst on his back. It's been there for like a month. Anyway, I took him to the vet a month ago. They were like, fine, it'll probably just go away. And then it was getting progressively worse, but quite fast. And we took him back and he needed to have it operated on. And I'm talking like a little cyst. Like I'm talking like, think like a fingernail, like a little pinky fingernail.
Like those little lumps you can sometimes feel under dog skin.
Yeah, it was obvious though. Like you could see it. It was coming up to the surface of the skin, so it looked like a big pimple, but it was like the size of like a little fingernail. Anyway, we took him in and we left him there in the morning, and they were like, "Yeah, he'll probably come out with like a 4 centimeter cut because we have to cut and extract it." And I missed because we were at work, and I missed the phone call from the vet. They obviously went in to extract it and realized it was bigger than what they thought it was going to be. And when I went to go and pick him up, they were like, "Look, we're just warning you. The cut is a lot bigger than what we expected that it was going to be." he came out and I burst out crying. He had like a 25 centimeter cut, which, I mean, he already looks like he's been in the wars. Poor guy's got 3 legs. And then he came out with this massive cut on the other side of his shoulder. And basically it was like, it's not cancerous. They went and tested it and everything else, but it was this big like growth that had happened and all the growth was underneath the skin. So there was a little tiny bit on top. Yeah. So they've taken it all out. So like he's doing heaps well. He's doing heaps well.
He's heaps sick and shit.
He's doing really well, but he's been super mopey this week as well because obviously it's painful. But it's really tricky because Buster only has 3 legs. They won't put a cone on him because it really impedes their mobility, makes them fall over and stuff and their balance. And so now it's this juggling act because he keeps trying to scratch it. And so he's like really doing damage to his skin. It's just, it sucks. It's so sad having an animal that you can tell is like uncomfortable and in pain. But it was good news. They got it out and we are like 5 days out from the operation now. So he's getting better. Little baby. That's good. That was my suck. It was
And
so
your
sad.
sweet?
And my sweet for the week is like one of those serendipitous, unplanned afternoons that just turn into like such a fun and beautiful evening.
Is this your spicy margarita evening?
Yeah. So on Saturday, we have some good friends. You guys might remember from a million years ago how I talked about like the friends that we made from the park and how I was like, when you're an adult, it's so hard to make new friends.
Oh, these are your park friends.
Yeah. And then Matt stalked them on LinkedIn and we became friends with his
which
family.
was so
It's so
funny.
weird. Okay. It's so weird. We know it's weird.
Because normally if you meet someone at the park and then you go and stalk them on LinkedIn, it's an issue.
It doesn't turn out well. But anyway, we found them on LinkedIn. We then became friends with them. They have kids the same age as our kids. We now have like a little posse of random friends. So like 2 of their friends who like mutually knew Matt from Brisbane. It turned out that we had some mutual friends. The 6 of us now hang out with our kids because we've all got kids the same age. And we went over to their house on Saturday and it was meant to just be like a little afternoon, have a wine, drive home. We got
litty.
fucking litty and blitzed on margaritas, ordered pizzas. It was like 8 o'clock. The kids are like, Mom, Laura, go home.
We got blitzed. It was huge. 8 p.m. We were still eating pizza. You know it's a big night.
8 p.m. home time when you've got a 3-year-old, that is like insanity. So anyway, we had a really nice night. It was one of those evenings where it was completely unplanned. We thought it was going to be a hell on earth day because it'd been raining, kids inside, but it actually was just great. And it's so nice when you're an adult and you're like, oh, we've got a little group of friends now whose kids are the same age and like we all like the same things. And yeah, it was really nice.
Oh, cute. I love that.
That was my sweet.
I haven't really made adult friends. I mean, I made adult friends in the jungle, but you guys are the only adult friends I've made.
I know. Well, apart from them, it's you guys.
Keeshia, why are you rolling your eyes? No one makes adult friends like Keeshia makes adult friends. I've never experienced it.
Keishia is the friend queen.
She'll go for a walk. She'll come back. She goes, oh, I met some people today. I'm just going to go on a holiday with them.
But this is a testament of like, it's just how friendly you are, Keishia, but also how do you have time for all the friends?
I don't want that many friends, to be honest.
It's so hard.
No, I don't want that many friends because of my social battery doesn't have the capacity that your social battery has.
Yeah, you're a real extrovert who like, you can fill all your hours.
I'm realizing that the key to my success is to do group hangouts, because then it's like it ticks off the box of catching up with everyone, but you don't have to do like individual things. I think as I'm getting older, I'm becoming more introverted. Maybe since it's because I'm medicated.
But how does that happen though when all your friends are from like different groups? Because like we'll interview someone and Keisha's like, I'm going out for dinner with so-and-so from this. And you're like, what? They were a guest on the podcast. And Keisha's like, they're now my best friend. But like you then do group things with them and none of them know each other.
Yeah, Keishia does pocket a lot of our guests.
It's great.
I do become quite nice friends
But
with
that's
them.
also because you get the back, like you're the one who does like the speaking with them.
Yeah,
prior
the
to.
back and forth. Yeah. Also, that's probably it. I think it's more so that if I find someone that like I have a common interest with, I know that my existing group of friends are going to have things in common with them too. And also I've moved to so many different cities that I've been the friend who hasn't got any friends in that place a lot. So I really I like to be now that kind of connection point for other people, because, you know, when you move around and you've got to reestablish yourself and you don't know anyone and it's really fucking hard as an adult to make friends and you don't have those people. And often because I was single when I moved to those places, I was not in relationships for almost all of them, I think. I had to kind of start from zero.
And it's also so hard because most people who have been in a place for a really long time, like you and I, Britt, we've got our group of friends, you know, and that's what people are so close to making new friends, which is what makes it so hard for other people people to kind of be like, hey, can we be mates? I'll find you on LinkedIn.
I do think it is a personality type though.
Yeah.
Because I have been the person that's moved to many cities around the world and knows no one, and I'm okay with it because my personality type doesn't need it. I only need one or two, genuinely, I only need a few people to fill my cup. I'm that person that would have 5 really good friends and I don't need acquaintances. And I don't want to say that like it sounds, I don't want people to take that the wrong way because it's not. Because I have a lot of acquaintances that I love, but I don't. Some people need to seek those friendships because it's what they need in their life. But I don't. I just don't find I need that. Call me crazy dog lady. I can go and hang out with Delilah on a weekend, me and my dog, walking around, going to a cafe, going to coffees, and I'm fine with that. Like I'm genuinely, I don't get to the end of the weekend. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I didn't speak to another human. That's probably bad. I should. But I don't think I need the same thing as other super social people need.
I remember when you guys interviewed Dr. Ali Walker. She wrote the book on, what's it called? Click or Clash. And she wrote about frequency and intensity of connection. And I think I learned so much from that book. I absolutely love it. And I think I've got a higher frequency than what you do.
Yeah, you 100%. Yeah.
Whereas, Laws, I think you have quite a high frequency, but you're constantly surrounded by people because you've got kids and you've got a husband. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're in Tony May, you're around people the whole day. If you're here, you're around us, then you go up to radio. Like, you're around people a lot. So you probably don't feel the need to have it in your actual like time off as much. Yeah, so I think that maybe you kind of fill that cup in other ways. But I do think if you're the type of person who has the ability, and like I don't have kids, I work from home, I think I'm only in the office 2 days a week. So if you're a type of person who is like that and has friends and you know people have moved to where you are, bring them into the fold. They probably need it.
Laura's like, wow, guys, my sweet was that I hung out with some people. Now we're unpacking the psychology behind friendships. That's what we do here at Life Uncut. Anyway, that is it from us, guys. Please send your Accidentally Unfiltered in to Life Uncut Podcast on Instagram, or your Ask Uncuts, any juicy details that you want. And don't forget, if you are somebody that has been following along the podcast for a while, but you might not yet be in our Facebook discussion group, that is Life Uncut discussion group on Facebook. Very pretty self-explanatory, but it's so good. It is so fun.
You can jump in there and post your sex list, and you know the drill.
Tell your mum, tell your dad, tell your dog, tell your friends, and share the love because we love love.